Hi, I'm Ramon, and I'm from Israel. I made a long journey to come here and talk to you about my entrepreneurship experience and my life as an investor, as a business consultant. So I'm going to talk about my experience as an entrepreneur. When I was about your age, when I was 14, I started a business and I sold it, and I had a lot of experience. And I'm going to review a little bit of my experiences from Israel, from army, failure, and how to cope with the changing environment, and how to become a successful entrepreneur. And also today as an investor, I look at strategy and companies, and I'm going to give you a lot of insights of what makes a good entrepreneur, a good enterprise, and a good startup. So listen in and hear what I have to say. Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here in Guatemala. You have a beautiful country, and it's really exciting to be here. And I'm going to talk to you a bit about my experience as an entrepreneur and what I've done. And I'm going to tell you insights of what I think is important for you guys in your next steps. And so I'll start. You got a bit of a preview about me, and I want to tell you that I come. This is my great-grandfather. He's also an entrepreneur, by the way. Do we look alike? No? I'm sorry. I'm trying to get. I'm trying to be better than the dog, right? So it's very difficult. So when we look at my grandfather lived in Israel when Israel was nothing. It was basically a wasteland. There was no infrastructure and nothing. And he was an entrepreneur. What he did, he bought a press machine to take the first newspaper out. And it was the first Hebrew newspaper in Israel and in the world. And so it kind of runs in my blood to be an entrepreneur. But at least, so I was working in Intel, as you were told. And every step of my life, I'm looking for new opportunities. And fortunately enough, as a kid, you cannot see it, but that's not me, by the way. That's my son, and you can see he's building a robot. And one of the interesting things I wanna say that he's always challenging himself. By the way, he's 7 years old when he's there, and before that he was talking in a conference and speaking and telling people how to build robots. And the reason I'm telling you is because there is no age for innovation. There is no age for entrepreneurship. And one of the most important things is to believe. And because I believe in him and I believe in what he's doing, I think that it gives them a lot of power to try. And to try, meaning that you do something that is difficult for you. Meaning that you try and sometimes what happens? You fail, right? You're not successful. The most important part about failing is our ability to recover from that failure. What does it mean to recover from failure? Is we learn from that failure. We understand why it happened, and then it becomes a failure. It's a hop on the way. So when we look at characteristics, and I want to tell you about the characteristics of entrepreneur because it's important to understand, as someone who's seen many entrepreneurs and many investors, what are the key characteristics and what's important? And I'm using a word here called tenacity. Tenacity. I'm sorry for the bombastic word. But tenacity is the persistency. Because when you're an entrepreneur, there is one thing that I can assure you. When you do innovation or you do important things, the one thing that will surely happen is you'll see difficulties. It will be hard. You wake up in the morning, you're all happy, and at night, you're running out of money. This is part of being an entrepreneur. So you need tenacity. You need the ability to push through. So over here, in the image that you see behind me, is the Ramon crater in Israel. It's not. I don't own it, by the way. It's very similar to the Grand Canyon. And there is a small stream of water that runs through it. And through the years, that stream of water basically eroded and created a huge crater in Israel. And the reason I'm saying it, because sometimes being an entrepreneur, you don't have a lot of leverage. You're a small stream of water. You're not like Google, Intel, Microsoft. You're a small stream of water. But you need to understand that your tenacity, your ability to persist, is what will bring you to create a big crater and make sure that everything flows onto your direction. And it's a very important trade, especially for all the difficulties that entrepreneurs endure along the way. The second trade is elasticity. And here is the Yarkon River in Israel. And the Yarkon River, I don't own that as well, but it doesn't have my last name, it's fine. So the Yarkon River, you can see it's like, it goes all over, right? You can see it's like a mess. It's just 14 kilometers from where it starts to the sea, but actually the road on the river itself is almost double. The reason I'm saying it is because when you're an entrepreneur, one of the most important things is when you hit a wall and you get to a point, somebody closes the door at you, you find a window. If somebody closes the window, you go through the chimney. If somebody closes the chimney, you break through the wall. And what you can see is that, and this is kind of the balance between tenacity and elasticity. When do you move? When do you maneuver and move your business model or change it? And also the patience that you need to have. A good example for that will be a company named Mobileye. Are you familiar with this company? It was acquired by Intel for $14 billion. The company had, at the beginning, a lot of hardship. They changed the business model. They changed the way that they sell the business. They changed the way that they sell the products. And it's important to understand that because along the way, we need to be agile and to be observant to what we're doing and the way that we need to move forward. The next thing is taking actions. Taking actions as an entrepreneur is highly important. Why taking actions is important? Because most of the times we fail to make decisions. We fail to make decisions because we do not want to fail. And we avoid the decision. We avoid us getting to say no. When you go to your parents and you ask them something, you would avoid asking them something that you would assume that the answer would be no. And sometimes you need to plan your strategy right, but you need to get to an action. You need to get to the no. You need to get to the yes. You need to get to the right decision. And it's very important. By the way, this is Tel Aviv Harbor, and it's a fisherman. And one of the reason I'm saying, because to get fish, you need to know how to coordinate the action. So when you throw and you need to pull the fish up, you need to be exact at the moment that you pull the fish out in order to take the fish out of the water. And I think it's very important because as an entrepreneur, you need to know how to get the things done at the right time and get to the actions, get to things that will make you make decisions. And it's very important because you can look at anything as entrepreneurship. You can look at a trip to a water park as an enterprise. How do you convince? How do you get money to do that? And I think that's highly important. And at the end, a good example for an action is as an entrepreneur or someone that builds companies, you get acquisition offers. So somebody tells you, hey, I want to buy this company for 20 million or 40 million. You need to get a decision. I'm selling, I'm not selling. And you always in a process, or I'm taking this customer, or I'm not taking that customer on. And I think that this is one of the most important traits. The second important trait is understanding the market. A market is the ecosystem around us. It's very important to understand this ecosystem. It's very important to understand that your competitor next to you sells tomatoes for half the price. So don't sell tomatoes, okay? Because you won't make any money. Because he's selling it for half the price, so everybody will go and buy it over there. Or brand your tomatoes to be the tomatoes that cure you, or you have more vitamins in it, and then you can charge more and say this is a premium tomatoes. So you need to understand the market. It's really important. It's important to understand your network, your influence. The last thing is, I didn't mention, is you can see the first letter on every trade I mentioned is a team. Normally, entrepreneurs cannot do it by themselves. behind any entrepreneur that you see up front on stage, there is a team of people that are working together with him, and they're aligned together with him. And the reason that it's important is to understand the ability of bringing a good team together. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of ventures that start fail for one reason. It's not a good team. It's not a good match. Starting a venture together with someone, it's very similar to marriage. You're stuck together. And it's very important to understand that. You need to work together. You need to be flexible. So now I'm going to give you some tips. So the first one, as entrepreneurs, first of all, yes, it's me and James Bond. But again, look at the big picture. So the reason I'm saying it is because it's important to understand that as an entrepreneur, you need to constantly set time for yourself to step outside of the day-to-day activities and look at the bigger picture. And I think that it's a very important trait is the ability to step out and look at the bigger picture. Step 2, do things that are different. And here, one of my employees, this was in Intel, took my picture because I had orange socks, okay? The reason I had orange socks is because do things different. As I told you, the tomatoes, right? Sell it, make something else out of the tomatoes. It doesn't. I mean, if it's just tomatoes, then it doesn't bring anything new to the table. So if you do an enterprise or you do something, do it differently, even if it's something small, if it's not something big. By the way, my socks here are green because if I go on stage with orange socks, it's really distracting. So and the last one is try to do things by yourself. This is me. I wanted to be a fireman, okay? I basically, and my kids wanted to be firemen as well, and I wanted to show them what it means to be a fireman. And once you put all the equipment on yourself, you understand you do not want to be a fireman because it's hot, it's very heavy, and it's not fun. And the reason I'm saying it because many times when we do something, we don't try it ourselves. And we don't understand that once we try it, we need to understand, I made the mistake, I don't really want to be a fireman. And it's important to understand and have that process with yourself, that you do want the ability to make mistakes. Last is, a lot of young people ask me, what are the domains and what should we do? Okay, what should I go and learn? What should I go and study? So I put here a list of things that are kind of the highlights of what you should kind of be focused in the next 5 years if you want to do innovation. But I want to tell you another thing about Guatemala, which is, Guatemala today is the land of opportunity. Because today, as a country, you have very unique opportunity because you don't have anything, okay? Mass transportation system almost doesn't exist here, but it's a great opportunity to create the next big transportation system. Tourism is very weak. You have amazing seashores. Do projects on tourism. And I think that this is, I got here and I got so excited about the opportunities that you have here in this amazing country that, I was shocked. I mean, as an entrepreneur, as someone that is investing, I always seek opportunities, and there's so many here, and you're so lucky and so fortunate to be in a country that allows you and holding these events for you. And so going on to AI, machine learning, it's artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity, everything is becoming digital, cybersecurity will be important. Industry 4.0 is the digitization of the industrial process, meaning that you move into adaptive logistics. How do you interact with supply chain? Supply chain is how you move components and things from one side to another. Mobility is how we move people, transportation. And deep technology, what will be the new big thing? And that's, I think, the most important thing. And don't forget that you need to be, one, strong and fail, because failing is fun at the end of the day. It's not that it never aim to fail, but aim always higher than you're aiming normally. So I hope it was beneficial to you, and thank you very much.